This is the presentation of Group 4, Planting by Aoko Matsuda.
Background of the story Planting by Aoko Matsuda. Waseda Bangalore Department have organized the Japan Earthquake Literature Project, and this literature compiled a collection of stories by contemporary Japanese writers. These writers, however, tried their best to do something for the people who have affected on the Japanese earthquake, tsunami and nuclear meltdown of 2011, and these writers used the fiction as a tool for both responding to change and also creating it. Overwhelmed by the power of earth systems and tectonic shifts to impact culture, these writers cite the unique power of fiction to take creative control of world within the confines of art. This fictional world, as a counterpart of a world where the earth shakes for 6 minutes in Japan, allowed all these writers to explore the emotional process of grief, resilience, and anticipation. These unprecedented events have forced people in Japan to think and act in a very new ways. In responding to such a horrible catastrophe, one of the Japanese writers, Aoko Matsuda, write a very different short story, Planting, in which she shows how the central character Margaret keep on planting throughout the story, and this act of planting was seen as a kind of hope towards life.
I am going to tell about the summary of the short story Planting. Planting was written by Aoko Matsuda. It was a short story in the Japan earthquake charity literature, and also it was translated by Angus Turville. So in 2011, East Japan faced greatest earthquake and led to tsunami. It was large section of a coastal area. Margaret is the narrator of the text. She plants roses and violets. She plants lilies of the valley. She plants clover flowers. When she plant Margaret flower, she would say softly and feel gentle towards it. Her job is to do planting the flowers. Not alone the flowers, the things that comes up with her. The flower represents her, and her self-love emerged there. So then she plants balloons of pretty color. Then she planted lip cream, thick ceramic mugs, cashmere socks. So her job is to plant. So she plants everything: colors, soft, gentle textures. She planted every day. Margaret planted her heart that treat things with care. She planted slowly, so reader cannot guess how many days she was planting. Her physical appearance was described as she wears a glass with unfashionable. Her dress was cardigan and trousers of pure cotton. Her hair was with simple curls and brown in color. Her garden seems to be as a heaven. Margaret read the newspaper, Town Work, which is an article. She feels herself tired and her clothes itched. She was in a Tokyo coffee shop, so the narrator indicates the iced coffee for her personality development. She'll be finding a good job. Many dental surgeries were in the world, but she doesn't like any of the job. She didn't feel she could work with friendly people and also the people who was dream. So she was away from the people who was her main. So she was away from the people. She was a mainstream of living. She was in need of working a job alone. She worked on a flimsy page in a small square frame ad. Then she started to plan things one by one. She was not suitable for any friendly people jobs. She wanted job alone. So a box arrives every day. So some days from Yamato Transport and some days from Sagwa Express. Her work time was 9 to 6. She earns 900 yen an hour. So no works at weekend and there is no performance target for her work. Margaret planted slowly like ceramic bowls, macaroons of many colors, band t-shirts. So Margaret feels happy while she was planting the things. She was surprised to see the dead rat, and she planted the dead rat, handkerchief, muddy water, curly toy, shriveled vegetables, and birds with its wing pulled off, carpet stained red black with blood. Margaret was confused. She planted a broken cup and tongue cut from the mouth. Her intensity raised. She planted anger. She wanted to bury everything deep in the earth that should not reach the surface. So Margaret's psychological aspects were revealed here. She didn't plant slowly anymore. Nothing warms her heart. Margaret planted sadness, anxiety, regret, fear, everything into the ground. So men who delivers the box gives her mystified expressions, feelings. She hopes that if she planted slowly like this, one day wonderful things may come out of this box again. She felt fear and relaxed for a time with smelling herb tea. The next day, a box arrives from Yamato Transport. Margaret accepts the box with hopeful smile, so Margaret will be planting again tomorrow. So her happiness turns into anxiety, it turns into hope, and she accepts the psychological theme of her life finally. The protagonist of the job is to plant. At first, she plants something beautiful, colorful, and heartwarming, and all of a sudden, those pleasant items turn into something repulsive, grotesque, and macabre. She was only allowed to plant things however much she wants to bury them.
Planting Critical Analysis. Aoko Matsuda's Planting was published in 2012, inspired by the Great East Japan earthquake. What makes Matsuda's language unique is its rhythm and repetition. Her style is free from conventional usage of Japanese. The name of the protagonist is Margaret. Margaret's job is to plant things. At first, she plans something beautiful, colorful, and heartwarming. All of a sudden, those pleasant items turned into something repulsive, disgust. Repetition is one of the most important elements of this story. Repeated words and phrases make their meanings magnified. At the same time, the repetitious act of planting seemingly brings some kind of hope. In planting, it is unclear whether Margaret, the main character, is a victim of the earthquake at all. Instead, she is a metaphorical witness to the horrific damage that was dealt to the wounded nation. Matsuda used devastating effect, making a symbol or metaphor literal by using it as a magical realist plot device. Planting or putting labor into an object such that will bloom into either something beautiful or into sustenance. While at first she plants flowers, soon they turn to shirts, then dead animals, muddy water, carpets stained with blood. Planting takes comments on trauma and aftershocks, the way that the devastation of a quack can force us to rethink our lives, our identities, and even if we are distant from the actual damage.
Significance of the title Planting. As we all know, the background of the short story, it's based on the Japanese earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear meltdown the year 2011. The title Planting is very much related to the background. Planting literally means to sow, to put or to set something into the ground to grow. The signification of planting is to regenerate, for regeneration is circumstanced like planting. Here, in the short story, the writer Matsuda uses the term planting again and again repeatedly to bring out the significance of the title. Since the short story is written after the horrible catastrophe in 2011, the writer in the story differently in which the central character, Margaret, keep on planting throughout the story. Margaret planted roses, planted violets, planted Margarets. She planted a heart that knew each day was precious. Planting was her job, and she continued planting. She planted the dead rat, planted the muddy water, planted a carpet with stained blood, planted sadness, anxiety, regret, fear, finally hope. The tale demonstrates how, even the most dire circumstances, hope may be discovered. The title can be closely related with story as Margaret keep on planting the damaged things and even the dead things. She also planted hope, which might make the struggles, deaths of people, and impacts of the massive earthquake which led to the tsunami in 2011. Thus, the title Planting is significant and very much apt to the short story, which make all the struggles and impacts of the tsunami to vanish. Thus, they hope for a regeneration and a new life in Japan.
Character analysis of Margaret. Margaret is a young woman whose life has been filled with tragedy and sorrow. She is a compassionate and kind hearted person. Despite all the pain she has faced in her life, she is also brave and willing to take risks in order to protect those she loves. Margaret is also very wise and thoughtful, often providing insight and advice to those around her. She is a sympathetic and loving person. Margaret has strong ambition and is willing to go to any lengths to get them. She is courageous and willing to take changes, define the people she loves. Margaret is also incredibly knowledgeable and considerate, frequently offering perspective, and counsel to others around her. Despite her struggles, Margaret never loses her optimism and is constantly seeking the positive in others and her circumstances. Margaret is also kind and sympathetic, often thinking about other people's needs before her own, even when doing so many sacrificing her own. She can find original answer to challenging challenges thanks to her creativity. Finally, Margaret has a positive outlook and is hopeful about the ability of her own activities to affect change.
Themes in Planting by Matsuda Oko. The themes in Matsuda Oko's short story Planting are the relationship between human and environment and how we might learn to coexist with it, or the story's main themes. Family. The story discusses the significance of family and how it can foster our development and broaden our perspective of the world. Resilience. The story shows how we can get through challenging circumstances and become stronger as a result. Community. The tale examines the significance of community and the ways in which it can bring people together to work toward common people objectives. Hope. The tale demonstrates how even in most dire circumstances hope may be discovered. The power of nature. The protagonist born with nature and the concept of the power of nature are central to the narrative. The main character gains an appreciation for and respect for nature, as well as an understanding of the value of coexisting peacefully with it. Overcoming obstacles. The protagonist must overcome a lot of difficulties, including emotional and physical ones, with the aid of her companies. Friendship. The main character makes close connections with her pals and learns the value of assistance from others as well as friendship. Self discovery. As the protagonist learns more about herself and realizes her actual potential, her path of self discovery plays a significant role in the decision. Sustainability. The narrative highlights the value of sustainability and how it can assist to protect the environment. The main character gains knowledge about the value of protecting the environment and making ethical decisions. Environmental conservation. Through the protagonist's example of planting trees, the novel emphasizes the value of maintaining the environment, especially forest. Community. The tale also emphasizes the value of group effort and community involvement in accomplishing environmental objectives. The hamlet of the heroine aims her in her endeavors to reforest and plant trees. Respect for nature. The narrative also underscores the need of honoring and appreciating nature's power. The natural forces the protagonist deals with in her attempt to grow trees humble her. Perseverance. The story also emphasizes the value of overcoming obstacles by remaining the strong. The main character is adamant about planting.
Now let's see the significance of the repetitive act of planting as a kind of hope in the story Planting by Aoko Matsuda. It is a surrealistic allegory about the psychological fallout of Japan earthquake that happened in 2011. Through the story Planting, the author offers consolation words of hope to the people who were affected physically and emotionally by the earthquake. Here in the story, the protagonist, Margaret's job was to plant. Whether she had liked it or not, she had no choice but to continue planting. Even though she thought of burying things, she hated to plant. This repetition act of planting is emphasized in the story as it brings some kind of hope. That is because repeatedly following a routine in life would give us a hope to move on from the disastrous state we are in. Towards the end of the story, Margaret says these lines of hope. If I carry on planting here like this, one day wonderful things may come out of the box again. Things it warms the heart. These lines of the story emphasize the importance of having hope to move on in life. Therefore, through the act of planting, the story offers people the words of encouragement and hope that one day lives would change from the present state. It also encouraged people to move forward in life without giving up on life halfway through it. On the whole, the story consoled the affected people to believe that there will always be tomorrow with mysterious things awaiting to be unboxed.
Human nature relationship of the short story planting. The story delves into the relationship between humans and nature. The act of planting a body part in the garden blurs the boundaries between the human and natural worlds. As the story unfolds, the garden undergoes fantastical and surreal changes as a result of the planting. At first, she planted something colorful and heartwarming. The garden seems like a heaven. Later, when she planted something like repulsive, grotesque, and macabre, the garden seems like mere sucking. This transformation of the garden reflects how human actions can have a profound impact on the natural world and vice versa. It manifests her feelings, and it suggests that the relationship between human and nature is dynamic and reciprocal. Background of the story: people affected on the Japanese earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear meltdown in 2011. Human overwhelmed by the power of Earth system, and it symbolizes the idea that we are not separate from nature but are a part of it, and one actions can have profound consequence on the natural world. The nature can respond to human presence and actions in mysterious and unexpected ways, challenging our understanding of the natural world. As soon as a feeling came out, the exact opposite feeling would follow. Thank you.